Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, the NFL season is finally underway. The first games of preseason have been played starting yesterday with of course, the New England Patriots and the Houston Texans and Texans coming out to a commanding victory. D'Amico Ryans gets his first win as an NFL head coach. And then today we had the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Miami to face the Dolphins. And that meant, yes, that's right, this Miami Dolphins offense that you see before me here. But note the Falcons defense. The Falcons bring in a new defensive coordinator and a number of new players on the team. Most of the people that we're going to see on the NFL Sundays to start in September, you didn't see them at all in this contest. But you did see the alignment and the emergence of a nasty defensive coaching philosophy, much needed. You can see it in this undershifted 4-3 defense that the Falcons present to open the contest, where the Dolphins have the former New York Jet Mike White at quarterback, number 14. And already in this first play, we see one true factor, one true fact that has to be noted, and that is simply that the Falcons defense was ready and came to play, ready to show the world that it wasn't going to be intimidated, that it was going to do the intimidating, that it was ready to face the challenge of stopping the run and being an effective part of the Falcons team this year. And so to prove that, on the very first play, what we had here was a run. And the Dolphins looked like they were going to throw, but they weren't. It was actually a play action. I'm sorry, this is second down, not the first down play. Let's go back to the first play here so that I can show you what the outcome there was. And here comes Mike White. Here's the run. This is to open. And one moment, please. Let's see, go back here. Sorry, folks. Make sure we're at the place. Let me go here. There's Mr. White. And here come the Dolphins lining up. And this is first down against the Falcons. And we have run play there. And that's what I'm talking about. The Falcons defense going into their gaps. Let's see that one more time. Going to their gaps in a coordinated fashion, making absolutely certain, however, that, let's see that again. And again, we have undershifted four-man front defense here against the Dolphins offense. The Falcons linemen move into their gaps. They play more of a two-gap system than a single gap, which is why they're getting a little bit pushed off the line of scrimmage, but then they share their blocks quickly here, right there, float to the ball, and get the stop right there. They did that more effectively the first play. Back here. I like that one when they were really asserting their, I hate to say toughness, but that's what they were doing. Now, this was another one of those fake draw runs that are popular today. It's like an Old West draw where you say draw, and the quarterback either keeps the ball and throws it or hands it off, but keeps the draw action, right? That's what he did there, but the Falcons are ready for it. See that? See how the quarterback pulls back, all right? So overall, the Falcons' defense was up to the challenge. But it has to be noted that through this entire contest, or I should say the entire first half of the contest, the Falcons gave up chunks of yards to the Dolphins on offense until they got to within inside the 10-yard line, and then became tough sledding. And the Falcons got their first turnover. And that was how the game was characterized. It was the Dolphins moving well between the 20s and actually outgaining the Falcons, but the Falcons coming up with the timely defensive plays. Now, that doesn't mean that the Falcons don't have things to work on. And I think what's going to be a problem for the Falcons going in this time is their reliance on this hybrid two-gap system on defense. And they do flow to the ball extremely well. So for teams that run outside zones, Falcons are tough to deal with. And it's as if they've fashioned a defense that is the mirror image of the kind of weapon needed to stop their own offense, since they also prize zone blocking and therefore can use that system against other teams, many of which the majority in the NFL use some type of zone blocking. So the Falcons defense, I believe, will be more effective this year than it was last year. But I'm not exactly convinced the offense is there just yet. And that has, again, more to do with design than anything else. There's still this issue of timing. The quarterbacks are still a little bit late throwing the ball. The Dolphins also exhibited some timing issues in their offense, but also some innovative designs. Plays where there was no motion, they were literally taking advantage of the formation to throw short. Plays they hadn't used the year before. So one thing that I see overall in the National Football League is paying attention to the fact that defense is so fast that you can't run even the 5-step passes with a degree of regularity that you did in the past. It has to be 3-step, and more often than not, no step. You get the ball and you throw, which calls for a different type of design offensively than we've seen before, in which I have called for some time, leading to my own Eagle offense, and which I really prize and why I'm so excited for this NFL season to commence. So let's take a look at some other scenes from that contest as we continue to discuss this game. And what we have here is, if I go back to where I was, and that would be here, right there. Yeah. And we go forward a bit in the action. We pick up some key highlights of Falcons play here. Oops. Not that. It's trying to get, I believe that, no, that's the Dolphins. There were a couple of big plays. This hasn't been segmented into big plays just yet, I don't believe. But I don't particularly want that. I'm looking for this. And there, right? Okay, see if we can get that. Okay, freeze. This is the punt return, I believe, by the Dolphins. And we had a number of good returns. That was fair. And then they eventually would line up and play on offense. Here comes Mr. White again in the shotgun. That play. Let me go back here. That's the kind of play I'm talking about. a number of teams have specialized. This is a standard run, excuse me, in that approach where they figured out new and innovative ways to get rid of the ball. And let me freeze that again. See it again. They found new and innovative ways to get rid of the ball. See that right there? Yeah, that you're going to see a lot of that from many different teams. And here's another example right here coming up. This is another innovation I want you to take a look at. Sorry, not here, but it's funny how this doesn't quite line up the way you want it to. And let's see here. Go back here, here, here. Oh, there. It's great runs. This runs like this gashing run where they had a trap play, did the Dolphins. Okay. Really hurt the Falcons. Runs from deep back in the backfield for the Dolphins, where the running backs would find holes. Now, it looked like the Falcons' defense was wholly uncoordinated. I have to attribute part of that to the inexperience on the line and and the newness of the defense to the Falcon players as a whole. Okay. And also, look, the Dolphins do have some good running backs. Let's just get that out of the way. The Dolphins do have, like Mr. Gaskin, some very effective running backs. Okay. So we have to say that. And then again, here's another variation of a short pass. He takes one step and he's ready to throw. Okay, he's looking. And then he looks back here, but it's a grounder. He took too long. But the intent was to get the ball off in one step. So it's another example of what I'm talking about. If you take a look at what just transpired here as well, okay? It's this intent to get the ball off, excuse me, in this, so that's the one of the runs that was not so, yeah, there it is. That's not the play I was thinking about. This is a longer one, longer in terms of dropbacks, 3 steps. But still, the Falcons' defense came to play. The DBs for the Falcons were all over the place tonight. They really were quite impressive. They gave up yardage between the 20s and the 10s, but when it got to the point where they're inside the 10, the Falcons played their best defensive game I've seen in quite some time, regardless of whether it was preseason or regular season. They were well coached and came to play. They were on Johnny on the spot. Their timing was excellent. They had 3 interceptions. That doesn't come by accident. There's a reason for that. So those were the highlights of the contest for me. Defense. And again, I say with all of the Falcons' heroics, the fact that they scored 19-3, the fact of the matter is that the Miami Dolphins offense racked up more yards. And on defense, the Falcons offense didn't do as well as the Dolphins. Okay. So the Dolphins defense was better statistically, and the Dolphins offense was better statistically, but turnovers matter. Winning plays matter. And so from that perspective, the Falcons came out ahead. Is that something that we should expect because of design? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think so. I think after 3 years, the Falcons finally have the right defensive formula to win, even when their backs are against the wall, because they know they have the players to stop drives in a timely fashion. What they need to work on is having the right game plan and the right defensive approach to make sure that these offenses don't run up and down the field on them. That's the next step. So, having said that, though, I'll repeat, I am ready to declare this Falcons defense better based on the approach. Based on the approach. Because if you can put your lesser players in, your second and third stringers in, and have them perform well fundamentally most of the time, then imagine what you're going to do when you get your starters in. And that is where this Falcons defense is. Now, the Dolphins, and the reason they lost was the reverse. When they got down close, this is a matter of play calling. They don't have the right plays to effectively move the ball in the red zone. That's the problem. There is a tendency to throw off-time passes that I wouldn't call down there. They don't have a single play that's designed for use within the red zone. They need that. Now, I can say that, all right, it was preseason and maybe they don't use those or don't have them. If that is the case and they're hiding a red zone package, which I don't believe, then there's some comfort in stating that the Dolphins will have a better future if that's the case. However, I don't believe that's the case. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll keep it, let's see here. Trying to see if I can get down there. That was that one. Remember that one step I was saying about? This is on the way to, that's one example. All right. And this is where they get down. This is what they do. They have these, they have the running plays that get just close enough. There's a running plays that can be done anywhere on the field. Okay? Anywhere on the field. All right? But they're down at the goal line. And here's another example of a run play. It gets stopped, nailed. There's no sweeps. Everything is just basic. There's a play action, but not open. It's, dropped because it was tipped, because it was off-timed. Okay? So for the Dolphins need to decide that if they're going to go into a contest where they say, all right, we don't have exotics we're going to run or special goal line plays, if they're going to get it done down there with the run, they need to learn to install the trap game, a la the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s. Trap games down there are still the most effective type of run blocking there is. Trap plays. Everyone's in love with zone blocking, and so it becomes this lazy drug. Zone block here, zone block there, zone. Well, trap plays. Why? Because at the goal line, what is a defense more so than anywhere else, and particularly a defensive line person? Aggressive. Trap blocks are designed to take advantage of that aggression and produce a hole. No trap blocks. So my recommendation for the Dolphins, given their woes at pushing the ball in from down there that I saw against the Falcons, which is also credit to the Falcons defensive line, which played very, very well against the run. Okay. But let's not forget, when I say well against the run, I mean at the goal line, inside the 10s, because that didn't happen between the 10s and the 20s. But my point is that the Dolphins offense needs to install a series of trap block plays. All right. So at the end of the day, you would say, how did this come out? And this came out like, I'll go over the stats with you so we can get out of here. You've got, let's see here, Game Center. Yeah, that's Game Center. Gives you the score. Okay. And as we look at Game Center, there, not that one, but this one. Yeah. We're looking at stats. I'm going to freeze that. Okay. Stats, and then move these down. I don't know if you can see these. I believe you should be able to. What we're looking at is, can we enlarge that so you can get a better view? Okay, zoom in. Zoom in. And zoom in. Yeah. So you have the NFL, for some particular reason, the stats didn't include the passing stats. I don't know why. It had receiving, interceptions, defense, punting, punt returns, and it was very weird. Very weird. So you see if I can find the get rid of that first of all. And the stats, Dolphins, and team. Let's just go over to team. All right. Team, total stats, total yards. Miami Dolphins, 317 versus 227 for the Atlanta Falcons. You see that? You see that? Hey, how are you? Okay, see that? So you got passing yards. Miami ahead, 149 to 125 for Atlanta. Rushing yards, Miami ahead by a big chunk. 168 yards versus 102 for the Falcons. Average yards per play, Miami was ahead by a full yard, 5-4. Points scored, however, Atlanta. Fumbles lost, Miami. Interceptions thrown. So Miami had 4 turnovers, and they allowed 5 sacks versus 4 for Atlanta. Third down efficiency, they were better. Time of possession, they were better, though not by much. Penalties, 8 versus 6. All right? So basically, in the statistical categories you need to dominate to win, the Dolphins did not do that. They turned the ball over a whopping 5 times. They had more penalties. So the Falcons played well enough to be there to literally catch the Miami Dolphins and feast off their mistakes. That's what happened. But you would say, hey, this isn't for winning, this is for evaluation. And I say that knowing how the Falcons defense played before last year, when it mattered the most, getting down to the pay dirt, the red zone, the Falcons defense delivered, and the score reflects that, because there were a number of but-for instances where the score could have been Miami 14, Atlanta 7. But it wasn't. All right. All right, so folks, subscribe to Zenny62, a bookmark, OaklandNewsNowBlog.com and Zenny62.com and ZennyReport.com. That ends this broadcast. We'll see you.